Welcome to Tesla, ladies and gentlemen. Man, y'all know y'all can't dance like me, homie. Don't even try because you will lose. Nah, I'm playing, man. I do have a game for you guys between Alireza, Firouzja, and Wesley So, and I took this out of the Speed Chess Championship they played a little earlier this year, 2023. And this is game number 25, and this is the blitz portion. You guys know that usually they do like a blitz portion, they do like a bullet, and then they do an Armageddon. It gets faster and faster. But anyways, man, I appreciate everybody for coming by. All my people in the Philippines, I will say mabuhay to you. It is morning still, so magandang umaga, almusal tayo. Let's grab something to eat. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Maraming salamat aking mga kaibigan. Anybody who is coming from France, I will say bienvenue. Let me see. Comment ça va, mes amis? I appreciate you guys very much. Ça me fait plaisir de te voir. I appreciate it very much, guys. Anybody who is coming from Iran, I will say, let me see. I will say salam and Khayli Mamnoon. Also, merci for coming by and taking a look at my stuff. But if you guys are ready to go, man, let's take a look and see what we got for this game, homie. Bam. Got to do that. Got to be on the right screen. We got the move E4, best by test. We got E5, knight to F3. We see knight to C6, bishop to C4. So we do have the Italian game starting off. And then we do see bishop to C5, Giuoco piano game. We do see the move D3. And we are in the Giuoco Pianissimo variation of the Italian game. As you guys know, obviously, I mean, it's very rare, even though it means very quiet game, it's very rare for these games to be very quiet. They're usually pretty loud. So we got knight to F6, we got bishop to G5. And this is kind of the first, move that we have that's kind of a little bit down on the list a bit. It's about the fourth top move. So we're kind of steering away from like super mainline theory. Very logical move. You are just trying to control, the D5 square, especially if you have a knight kind of jumping up here. You got a pretty nice little pin going on with the queen. So we do see the move H6 immediately. We got bishop back to H4. We got the move D6. You got to get all of your pieces out, homie. Plus, black has an idea. We got the move C3. We definitely don't want any knights jumping in here thinking that they, my side of the board is your side of the board. So we do see the move A5. We got castles by white. We see queen to E7. And this literally means that black is going to be trying to queenside castle, because if there were kingside castling, they'd have did it already, homie. So it's just it's not a super rare idea, but it is a little bit further down on the list. You do usually see like some castles here, and this isn't too bad of a weakening move. We see knight B to D2. We got the move bishop to G4, and then we have the novelty of the game, which it actually makes a lot of sense, and it is the top move anyway. It is the move H3. But like I said, we did have those, few moves that were kind of stepping away from theory. So we do see H3, and then we do see bishop going back to D7. And black has done everything they need to do to set up this queenside castling situation. And we do see the move king to H1. Now, I mean, I will say that king to H1, it is a move, but it wasn't really absolutely necessary because, I mean, yes, this bishop is very strong on this diagonal, but you didn't really have a lot of threats. I mean, there's not any knight to E4s or knight to G4s hopping in. So you're actually pretty, you're actually pretty safe, on that G1 square. So we'll see, if it comes back to bite white later on or not. It might not. I mean, like I said, it was a move. So, I mean, everything is fairly even. We do see the move G5. We see bishop back to G3. Now, something I do want to mention. Let's back up a touch. In this position, instead of king to H1, it is suggested to go either bishop to B5 or bishop to D5. Now, the reason behind that is because you do want to improve this knight. So one of the things that you want to be paying attention to when you're playing your own game is what is my literally, what is my worst piece? Can I do something to try to improve that worst piece? So sometimes winning games comes down to you recognizing when you have like a piece that's not really doing a whole lot or maybe can be improved, and improving that piece. And then, you kind of get your little positional advantage going on. So if you did see bishop to D5, of course, that's not capturable now because of the pin on the knight. So you might see a breaking of that pin with G5, bishop going down to G3, and then you do see long castles and then knight to C4. And you can see that your pieces are a little bit more you know, active. If you did see a knight takes d5 in this position, you would be taking it back here, and you would be kind of, you know, breaking the center open, and the queen might be a little bit suspect. So that's definitely an idea. And then, like I said, you have your much improved knight. But we did see king to h1. Like I said, we did get into this situation right here. And after castles, we see white going a3. And we have actually reached a point in the game that if you do want to pause the video and guess and see what move black plays here, go ahead and do so. Okay, so I think a majority of you guys, like, who've played chess to a certain degree are gonna recognize, like, basically what both sides need to be doing, and who is kind of like in the lead as far as accomplishing that thing. Now, the specific thing that I'm talking about is the fact that black is castled queenside, white is castled kingside. So we are castled on opposite sides of the board, and already what a majority, I think, of you guys understand is that it is a pawn race at this point now. You know, you'll see black pushing these pawns generally, and you'll see white pushing these pawns, and they're trying to either sacrifice a little bit of material, they're trying to open some lines and get to the opponent's king. So black has the opportunity to start doing that immediately, and that move is rook d to g8. So if you guess rook d to g8, you'd be pretty gangster, and you understand, you know, what both sides need to be doing. And one of the slight unfortunate issues that white has is that in this particular situation, a3 is just a touch too slow. It's not losing by any means. I mean, you still can get your stuff rolling, but black is just a touch ahead of you when it comes to trying to break your position open. We do see the move b4, so of course black does have to do something with that, but we just see bishop dropping back to b6. We see bishop up to b5, and now you see that Firouzja in this position, he's recognizing that, yeah, I kind of do need to get my knight improved. I definitely don't like this piece at all. That was one of the reasons he went king to h1 anyway, because as you guys know, these bishops on these diagonals are really, really dangerous when you are castled to that side. So we do see the move h5. We got h4. Really, really wanting g4 to come and close the position down. But, I mean, that is the complete opposite of what black wants to do. So Wesley So says, bro, I'm going to open the position, dog. So we see pawn taking h4, bishop taking h4, and then we do see rook down to g4. And, I mean, even though it looks pretty scary if you are white, because I mean black has a lot of activity, it's dynamic, you know, they're open on the G file. I mean, it's dead even as long as both sides, you know, play correctly. It is dead even. But I mean, this is two humans, so I mean, you know, humans, you know, they err sometimes, and so we do see the move g3 by Firouzja, and this, in all honesty, is a positional error. It probably doesn't seem obvious, like, why is it an error? Like, I mean, it just kind of seems like it protects my bishop. You know, it seems like it kind of makes a little structure. Everything is everything. Well, the major problem with going the move g3 is if we back up just one move, if you don't do anything in this position, you don't have like a lot of weaknesses. And like I said, it's dead even. But the problem is, as soon as you go the move g3, you have now just opened yourself and weakened your light squares around your king. So, and the problem is you have your bishop way over here. So, you know, you really didn't want to particularly, like, you know, create that weakness if your bishop isn't really in a position to come back and help defend. You would really like for it to be here, you know, like in a Fee and Kettle position if you did do something like that. So it is just a slight positional error. It's not like a blunder. It's just an inaccuracy. But I mean, it does make things a little harder for white. We do see the move queen to e6. Wesley So says, bro, I'm going to take advantage of that immediately, bro. Like, look at this square right here. like who's helping you with that square? So basically, you're like, hey, man, my knight is. So, I mean, white is definitely holding on. They're protecting what they need to protect. But Wesley So does decide, hey, man, you know what's worth it in exchange? So he goes rook takes h4 with check, and then pawn takes h4. And, I mean, like I said, black is definitely in the driver's seat. It's not like they're forcing a win at any point, you know, as long as white is doing what they need to do. But, I mean, this rook sacrifice was definitely justified in this position. And then we do see knight to g4 following this up. And the knight is literally in the best possible square to make sure that queens don't just murder you right here. And then we do see the move queen to f3. And there is actually a slight problem with queen to f3. The idea is correct, but queen to f3 actually does not quite do what you want it to do. You're thinking, okay, man, you know what? I'm going to add some extra protection to this h3 square. You know, I'm going to protect this pawn because obviously like the knight and the bishop are kind of ganging up on it, right? And that was one of the kind of drawbacks of going king to h1. Like I said, it wasn't a necessary move. It was just kind of like a move. So after queen to f3, we actually see queen to e7. And you have a little bit of an issue in this position because how do you protect your h4 square? And how do you literally defend yourself from the checkmate that could possibly come up right here? And that is why it is not quite as accurate as you want it to be. So if we back up, with the same exact idea, queen to e2 is actually the move that you have to make in this position. And it does solve all these different problems that you have. You do not block this square. And so if you would see probably something like rook to g8, you know, just kind of taking over this file, you would be okay. Let me take that off the board. Bam. You would be okay because one of your main goals is to try to get rid of this bishop because you have way too much pressure going on. So the bishop would probably back up and then you would see knight to e3. And this is definitely one of the ideas to try to block everything down. And now the bishop is blended. And so going back, talking about what I just talked about a second ago with this pawn issue, right? Like how does queen e2 like help your pawn issue? Well, if you do go back to e7, you actually have the knight g coming to f3. And you don't have the issues anymore because you are not as weak on the light squares because the queen has moved. So, I mean, basically if black wants to, you can go into a draw situation. And you always have the ability to try to attack this bishop and get it off the board, which would be very, very important. But like I said, we did not see that. Queen came to f3. We did see queen to e7. And this kind of puts white in a little bit of a pickle. And then so they decide to go queen to g3. But the problem is you have this rook to g8 move, and you really are running out of real estate for your pieces. You do have an automatic discovery coming up. Knight takes f2 with check, defended by the bishop and discovering an attack on the queen. So you really don't particularly want your queen on that square. And then we see the move king to g2. Yeah, that's scary looking, bro. I don't really see a time where you really want to move your queen, but you want to move your king behind your queen opposite a rook. No, that's not. So I mean I don't know what else Firouzja might have been thinking about, like what kind of move he wanted to play. But I mean I would literally hate to make this move. We do see the knight going back to h6, and this was one of the main issues with this move. Now you have just pinned your queen to your king, and that is a little bit all she wrote. We do see knight to c4 because Firouzja's like, bro, I don't even care about my queen, dog. I don't need a queen. So we see knight to c4, and then to add insult to injury, like, so not even taking the queen. Like Wesley So just says, hey, bro, I'm going to go ahead and just go queen takes h4. So that's a little bit sadistic, man. I ain't going to lie to you. But it is in this position that Firouzja does resign the game. And that is that. Like I said, king to h1 definitely was a move. It didn't seem like it was going to really result in anything bad like this, but it did. So, yes, that is that game. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Khayli Mamnoon. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. And I will see you guys next time.